All right, well, here we are again working on this truck. I know I'm kind of stuck on that lately, but it's just kind of what I'm doing here on a Saturday when I'm off work. So we put that lift, 2-inch lift in the rear. I put a leveling on the rear too to get it back. I don't remember if I discussed that, but I have 3,200 miles on this truck now, so I'm going to go ahead and do the first oil change at 3,000 miles, just in case there's any break-in deposits or debris, foreign material, whatever, from the engine wearing in. Probably not, but just in case, that's what I feel comfortable doing, and then I'll be changing it from here on between 4,000 and 5,000 miles. That's my personal opinion, through experience and what I feel is best. And I am going directly with the manufacturer recommended oil. This is, in my opinion, the best thing you can do. Here's what I'm putting in it. Motorcraft 530. This is synthetic blend, not a synthetic oil. I'm not a fan of synthetic oil. That's my own opinion again. You can use anything you want. I don't believe it's necessary. Don't believe it's, I know it's not recommended because I read the whole owner's manual, believe it or not. And oil additives are certainly not recommended. This is the Motorcraft Oil Filter. Got this stuff at Walmart. It's just as cheap as any oil and filter out there. And it is the recommended oil for this truck. And that's what I'm going to be using. If I have any failures with this truck, which I don't expect I will, it'll not be my fault for sure. And you start putting a bunch of Lucas and different things in your truck that are not recommended. In fact, the owner's manual says directly, do not put any oil additives, as it may cause engine damage or failures that are not covered by your warranty. So there is no reason to put an additive in your oil. This is a 2020 F-150, and I haven't ever done one of these oil changes. I quit the dealership in 2017, so I worked on 17, maybe a few 2018 trucks. I walked away from the dealership in about September of 2017. So this basic style of truck was already out. This engine was already out in 2011, I believe. So, but anyway, I'm just going to show you how I do it and what I do. I check the whole truck over. Every time I change my oil, I check all the tires, rotate them if it's time, check all the fluids, check everything over thoroughly. There should be no surprises. And I've been accused of talking too much in my videos, and I get a lot of negative comments. Appreciate you guys for giving me negative comments. It really encourages me. And I don't get very many people watching. My videos are not monetized. There's no gain in this by me. I do it because I like to network with people and talk to other people that are interested in some of the things I am. This is just my home shop, and this is just what I do. I'll share my opinions when I have them, and I've spent 30 years in this business, so I'm now in the metalworking business. I'm a machinist at an aircraft manufacturing facility now, and hopefully permanently until my retirement. But I still work on all my own vehicles. I don't trust a soul to touch any of my vehicles. So I do everything thorough. Anyway, I take these covers off. I like to keep everything as neat and clean, and I don't want to make a mess. I don't want nothing on my truck or on the floor. So here's how we'll start this. This may be a little loud, but there's just a few bolts on the shield on over here. Not really hard to take off. First time these bolts have been out, that's why they're kind of, probably got a little Loctite or something on them. Okay. And I think I need to loosen the back ones, and this should, well, there's two more. There's two little screws back there, and then two more bolts like this. So, tell you what, let's move a bit closer. I know you can't see this very well. There's really nothing to see. I'm telling you, I'm just taking a few bolts to use. here. Really nothing to it. That shield out of the way. Dropped one bolt. Anyway, there's 4 bolts, 2 screws that kind of remain in here. So if this stuff gets in the way, so when I usually take it off too, it's just a few screws, but it's not. Yeah, it is in the way. Okay. So let's get it out of the way. Same thing. These are little 8mm. These ones up here were 15 millimeters. These are 8 millimeter back here. Just 4 screws holding this little cover on. I think they stay attached to the. This is kind of a felt type material. I don't know what it's made out of, but these were the screws that were attached to that front. But anyway, that's nothing, no big deal. Just take them off and put them back. That helps your fuel mileage and keeps it clean under here when that's on. So the next thing, now you can see the engine real good. If you want, I'll kind of bring you in here. Show you a little bit under here if you're interested at all in what this looks like, but I don't want to bore you or make the video too long, but I've just got a little bit of a light here. These do have electric steering. That's what you're seeing here. There's a module and the electric rack and pinion steering there. That's your 4-wheel drive axle housing there and differential there. I know that's so close that you're probably not able to see that very well, but yeah, there's the oil pan, there's that 10-speed transmission. I know you can't see that. That's silly to even try to show you that. So let me spread this down here without moving things too much. Anyway, I'm just going to talk through this just a minute. I can't keep from it. Yeah, I know I talk too much, but let's get this done. Not a real big deal. The oil filter that comes on here from the factory is right here. It's not hard to get to. I forgot to look for a wrench. The factory ones are really tight. Way too tight, but they do that, I guess, for a reason. So they don't have them fall off from the factory engine. So let me get an oil filter wrench. I meant to have all this lined up and I forgot. My wife came in here talking to me before she left to go to Walmart, but yeah, that was not too terribly tight. A lot of times they're really tight, but and the oil filter will look a little different from the factory. I don't know, this is unnecessary to talk about, but here's what your normal Motorcraft filter looks like. This is a 500S, FL500S. This is a 3.5 EcoBoost. I think the same filter fits the 5.0 engine. But get something under here to catch the fluid. There's a little tray under here where that drains out a little bit here and a little back here, I think. Well, they used to be anyway. I assume they still are. I just usually loosen the filter. And and you want to warm your engine up, go drive it a minute or whatever, get the engine warmed up, which I've already done. We went to garage sales this morning. And let that all drain out of the filter as slow as you got time to wait around on it, so it don't get a big mess everywhere when you drag it out of there. But After I'm done, I just take a rag and wipe any oil that might have got on anything there. Oil pan is right back here. And they used to take a 16mm wrench. I'll see if this was the same. Some of the engines have a 15. Let's see what this one has. I've never changed one on this year model. Yeah, they changed this. I think this was a 15. Well, they may have changed it to a 14, which is be unusual for Ford, but let's see. No, they didn't. Well, that's strange that a 15 felt a little loose. To be sure something crazy ain't going on here that it's not a 916. No, it is a 15, okay. So, pop that drain plug loose. This oil filter's about done draining, so I'm gonna get it out of here. I can see the belt and hoses and things pretty good under here with the covers off. I just take the filter off and turn it straight up and down. You see the one from Ford looks different from the factory, but it's basically the same filter. It just has their FOMO Co on the side instead of the Motorcraft emblem. And it's got the part number there too. Get a rag. I'm gonna make a mess. So, I know for most of you people, changing oil is not a big deal, but you would be surprised actually at the number of people that actually don't know how to change their engine oil, or that pay someone else to do it. You normally want to rub a little oil on the gasket. Usually there's enough drain in here off the filter housing. I either just get a little bit on my finger, or just go ahead and screw it on and it's lubed anyway because the oil is already right there. So, well, you can't see this, but it's just right there. You just screw this on. And you don't need a wrench to tighten that. Just tighten it as tight as you can get it by hand, and that is plenty good. I got a pretty darn good grip with my big hand anyway, so that's plenty tight. If you don't feel like you can tighten it good by hand, go ahead and put just a little bit on with the oil filter wrench, but just wipe any oil that might have dripped there on anything. And the rest of it is in this tray right here where it drains out. You can just push it and wipe that out there. Sometimes I'll spray a little bit of some brake clean or something spray to make sure that it's all out, but it feels like it's pretty dry right there. I just don't want any drips on any of this stuff under this truck. So that's pretty much it. Everything looks like it dripped out good. Yeah, I'm way OCD on stuff. Go ahead with your negative comments. I'm sure you got them. So, you know, I'm not just your backyard mechanic. I hate to keep saying this, but I was a professional, trained to the highest level at the dealership for 21 years in that particular dealer there. So, I've done this many, many times. Not on this year model, but all right, that's done. So we'll go over here to the oil filter. The oil pan drain plug, and go ahead and let it drain out. And get this up here as close as I can so it don't splatter everywhere. And I already broke it loose, but it's still a little bit tight. I'll get a wrench on it. Okay. Splashed in the face, but it might. I ain't careful here. Alright. So the oil's draining out of the pan. It's still kind of warm. This truck's been sitting for an hour or so, or more. It's warm, but it's not hot anymore. It's best to drain it out as hot as you can. Make sure all the oil mixes up with all the junk and drains out. But it's settled all in the pan and everything's still warm, so it should drain out fine. I took this valance panel off a while back because I thought it would look better, but I think it actually cost me a couple miles per gallon, believe it or not, in fuel mileage. So I think I'm going to put that back on here before I'm done. And I'm very frustrated. While that's draining, I'll just tell you a little bit about this, what's been going on. I know I've got some other video footage I may not have shown yet, but I put that 2-inch leveling kit in here, and basically what it is, it's this strut right here. I know you can't see that real well. Let me turn the light over here. This whole strut I bought, it has a 2-inch. It raises the front 2 inches. And my phone's going to ring while I'm doing this, so I doubt it's very important. Let's see. Yeah, that was the parts manager at the Ford house, a friend of mine that I tried to call earlier, but he didn't answer, so I'll call him back in just a minute. What I was talking to him about is these tires. These are the factory tires and wheel. They're 32.1 inches tall. But now that I've raised this thing up 2 inches, I want to put the biggest tires I can. And then, of course, they're on back order, but while that's draining, let me go ahead and talk to him on the phone and we'll get right back with this. Okay, I already put the drain plug back in this thing and just kind of looked it all over. There's nothing wet anywhere. Everything's dry. But I saw a couple things that might be worth talking about, but let me finish. I think where I had that phone call I had to do with. I talked to Wayne quite a while about tires and things, but I was so aggravated that I've got tires ordered that I've already get paid for, and they're giving me the runaround from this company called 4 Wheel Parts. I'm going to try to just get my money back from them, I think, and go with Discount Tire or Tire Rack or somebody else. But I'll show you a few things about this truck that may be kind of interesting to some people. That these trucks have an electric. I'm going to put a light up here to see if you can see better. They have an electric. Battery's getting low on this camera. See this electric device right here? Now there's a lot more to it than what it is, but it has basically a little switch up there in the cab where you set your park brake. So instead of the old type that had the shoes inside the drum, or it was a drum inside of a rotor basically, this has an electric solenoid, if you will, or whatever, that actually apparently pushes the piston and locks the rear brakes for your park brake. So that's a little bit new. And of course, if you want to release those, if your battery was dead, you would have to put, a jump box or something on the vehicle to give the power to release the park brake. Good, bad, I don't really care. That's just how that system is and works. Of course, it also probably has to do with some other systems in the vehicle that we won't go into right now. But so anyway, I'm found some other deal that a lot of you may not know or understand. And I was talking to a guy at work about this a while back, even on the 6-speed transmissions. This is the 10-speed, which I've been trained on them originally when they first came out, but I've never really worked on them. To check the transmission fluid, of course, you wouldn't do this unless it was hot. And at operating temperature and in park idling. To change this transmission fluid, which the book says 150,000, which is a joke not really in just my opinion. It's just a joke. Period. Who in the world would wait till 150,000? But the way you check the fluid, of course, you're going to take this pan off, which looks like it has some shields, which probably comes off with the bolts, but you're going to pull your pan and change your filter and whatever. You may have to pull some cooler lines loose. This is your transmission cooler right here. One of the coolers. This has got coolant. Probably has another one up front, I'm not sure. But The way you check that, I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm going to show you. There's a plug, a dipstick, a little short dipstick. This is not in your owner's manual. I've already read the owner's manual thoroughly. It just says see your dealer if you need to do this. So the workshop manual will tell you this, in the Ford workshop manual or anything like that. You take this, again, with the engine running and at operating temperature, you pull this little dipstick cap out. This is at the right front of the transmission. Very hot area right here's the catalytic converter. You got to be careful where you put your hands, but you take this little cap out and you'll have a little bitty dipstick attached to it, and here it is. And there's how you change or check your fluid level at operating temperature, and there's some marks on here you'll have to identify which is your hot and cold fill or whatever. You know, it should be at operating temperature. So this engine's not running, of course, so it's going to show high. As your engine starts up, it's going to pull the fluid down a little bit. And you know, this comes out of here, and this is your cap, and it's got a part number on here. And it's got a little gasket here. So that's how you check your fluid. And of course, to fill it up, you've got to have a pump that you can buy at O'Reilly's or anywhere, that you could pump your fluid up into that hole and keep checking it, you know, at operating temperature until it gets to the right amount, which on the 6-speed transmission, it seems like it was about around 7 quarts or so. I would recommend you change that about twice. I'm going to say between 30 and 50,000 miles, every 30 and 50,000 miles, you really ought to change that fluid. You can't get it all out, and you know, unless you take some cooler lines loose and try to pump most of it out. You just can't get it all out, so it's best to just go ahead and change it twice. You know, maybe change it out, fill it up, maybe go drive it or idle it a while and change it again so you get the majority of that fluid out of there. And then that's all. Other than that, we're going to fill this thing back up with oil. I'm going to put the covers back on without boring you with that, and I'll see where you fill the fluid up or the oil up and all that, and how much it takes. So I'll get right back with that. All right, we're back down on the ground, and yeah, I put that little valance panel back on at the bottom that I took off because I believe it was costing some fuel mileage. It's hard to see down in here, but right there's where you check. Let me just get out of your way. That's where you fill it up with oil. Remember, use exactly what the manufacturer suggests. They engineered this truck, you didn't. Don't use your own opinion on what to put in it. If there's any doubt, it says right on the oil cap. Yeah, what's that say? 5W30. That's what oil it takes. So let's get a fun one here. Takes 6 quarts. Takes exactly 6 quarts. Don't make up your own opinion on that. Don't look at the dipstick and think you can say, well, it ain't all weather. A dipstick should never read all the way to the top unless it's really hot. It's probably going to be right about the middle of the crosshatch or whatever. I'm not even going to check it. It doesn't really matter. It holds 6 quarts. 5W30 Motorcraft. So let's just fill it up. I don't want to spill it. I can't see good in there. I'm hoping it's not going to overflow, but this funnel is fitting down in the hole pretty good. This is about as good oil as you can get, Motorcraft, and don't be putting synthetic in it. It doesn't need it. You don't get any gain by using synthetic oil. That's the biggest hoax since COVID-19. Okay, and then take 6. That was 5. I'm not going to check the air filter. It only has 3,000 miles. I ain't worried about it. But Depends on where you drive and how much dirt you're in on your air filter life, but most likely it's going to last you 20 or 30,000. Sometimes they have an oil life indicator on the side. This one don't. Mostly that's on diesels. Some gas engines have that. Just in case it does have an oil life indicator on the side of yours, then if you ever see it restricting whatsoever, change the filter. Don't blow it out. Change it. You don't blow filters out. That's the stupidest crap that people think. You just blow a filter out. You don't blow a filter out. You replace it. Period. And anyway, that's about all there is to this. Of course, I've checked everything on this truck. I didn't show everything I did, but you want to check all your differentials, the level on them, make sure they're full within say an inch below the plug, and sure all your caps, your brake fluid. These all take special fluids. Make sure you follow the owner's manual. This takes .4 plus or whatever the owner's manual said, I forgot, on the brake fluid. Again, and something that drives me nuts, don't fill up your brake fluid just because it shows to be a little low. If it's low, it's got a leak. As the brake pads wear down, your brake fluid's going to go down. It's taking up that volume to move the pistons on the caliper. So don't add brake fluid ever unless you're fixing a leak or servicing something. Because that is, all that's going to do is when you do put new brake pads on, it's just going to push it all back out of the top, and you're going to have a mess, and it's corrosive. And anyway, check your battery cables. I hate to tell you all this stuff. A lot of you guys know all this. I'm just telling you, this is the time you check your truck out, your wiper blades, clean the windshield, clean your truck up. When you change your oil, check everything thoroughly, your belts, your hoses. I found no sign of any kind of leak. There was no seepage, nothing on this truck anywhere. Belts look good, everything's in real good shape. And tire pressures, washer fluid. If you have to add coolant to it, this takes a special coolant called Premium Yellow, I think, Motorcraft Premium Yellow. If you have to add coolant, brake fluid, either one of those, you've got a leak in the system somewhere. You should never have to add that normally. This one's right up here at the max level. That's pretty much all there is to this. I've just filled it up with oil. I put the cap on there. It's ready to go. And thanks for following along with this. I'm sorry I went so long with this. I'm just, for anybody that has one of these trucks, kind of wanted to get a closer look at them, is really why I did this. I do have some other videos on some of the upgrades I've done on this, which is not normally something I would recommend that you do to your truck. You should keep it pretty close to factory. If you can, I'm not putting a tuner on this. I don't believe in that. That's a good way to destroy your engine. No additives. Remember, only use the 5W30 semi-synthetic or synthetic blend, they call it. Motorcraft's used this for years, and it has to be API service. It's supposed to be what's called SN plus in this little area. If you have a real old jug, it's not going to have that latest SP or SN plus, they call it here. So just make sure you read your owner's manual. I've read my owner's manual front to back, believe it or not. I do that on every piece of equipment I own, just so I know what it says. Some things I may or may not completely agree with, like I told you, the intervals of changing oil and things is, the way I'm going to do it is going to be between 4,000 and 5,000 miles. And it keeps your oil pretty clean, and you're not going to have issues with, if you start stretching that, who knows what's going to happen. It's just silly. The only reason they stretch those in the book is because they're competing with all the other manufacturers, trying to keep maintenance costs low to make them look good, not to protect this engine. This thing can last you 200,000 to 300,000 miles if you take care of it right. Anyway, that's all I'm going to have for right now, and I appreciate you following along with this. And if it's really boring on some of these parts, just fast forward it. That's not hard. Put you an oil change sticker on the windshield so you'll keep up with your miles. I just did that already. I've got roughly 3,200 miles, so I put 4,000, which is 7,200 miles on the sticker. And yeah, I've still got some projects around the shop that I'll try to show a little update on. I'm not happy with how that metal brake has turned out completely. It's going to work, but anyway, thanks for watching. This is 2020 F-150 with the 3.5 EcoBoost XLT chrome package with towing packages and all that kind of thing. It's just my newest toy, I guess you would say, and my ride to work every day. All right, thanks. See you next time.